I do not want to put my co-panelist John on the spot as the only government advocate around. However, you see, our discussion this morning is the famous Kenyans rhetoric. Choices have consequences. And then you carry the burden of your choices. I saw yesterday there was a meeting between the Azimio leader, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and a group of religious leaders, together with his team here in Westlands. And there's one pastor who really urged him to speak on behalf of everybody, including the church. And then there's one man that I admire so much. By the way, I really admire Edwin Sifuna a lot. He said that the best way for somebody to speak for the country is when the country makes the right choices at the ballot. You don't make wrong choices and then you come and say, please speak up. You have been quiet for 6 months. Back to your question, Simba. You see, the president is always a man on campaign. He has painted to us his politicking mechanisms and modes. When he was told, hey, please, let's work. Stop campaigning. There will be a time for campaign. You saw him moving around, doing campaigns. Our president is actually on a campaign mode as we speak. You may not see it expressly, but it is impliedly. And what does campaign entail? Campaign entail marshalling financial resources. If you go on YouTube, you'll find some of my statements on campaign financing. And the president, one of the way he has to do that, remember we have a report so far where Kenya is paying for even non-borrowed loans, loans that cannot be accounted for. But the records are there that Kenya has already paid for
this loan.
For these loans. You can only be sure, Simba, that for every shilling borrowed, there is a private shilling owned. Somebody, the government borrows, it enters into some people's pockets. Back to John, he's the man on the firing line. This morning.
No, that's the joke.
Exactly.
But then the number.
You see, it was my time.
That's fine.
It was my time. My colleague is reminding us of our behind, the periods we've left. And it reminds me on the NTV headline. Oh, there's a roof leakage? Blame it on the Jubilee government.
That's it. Go back.
So that really caught my attention. Oh, leakage? Blame it on the Jubilee government. So
I wanted to say, why have they said we complain now? Let's come and help us.
So you see, when I tell you, Simba, that I am increasing your pain so that I decrease your future pain by not borrowing more, that means your pain of these taxes can somewhat end in some unprecedented near future when we have repaid all the loans that we have. That is the promise we were given. But against all this, we see the president actually borrowing more than the predecessors borrowed. Meaning, piling up more loans on the pains we have for which our taxes are increasing. What does that mean? More and more taxes are going to be piled on us in the near future. Remember the uproar? Where there was an assault on the Citizenship Act, particularly Section 14.
Yes.
Where the children of Kenyans born abroad in the previous gazettement were supposed to pay 1.2 million to be citizens of the country. Imagine 1.2 million. They say 200,000 for processing, 1 million for acquiring the document. In the new publication, I saw it was reduced to 100K. So an assault on our laws. It brings you, Simba, it brings the country to the realization of what we are actually into.
Yes.
All the goodies that are being painted on us are to keep us moving and not to exercise our constitutional right of picketing,
Yes.
demonstrating against high taxes, against unachievable ambitions of a government without public participation and consultation of the sovereigns.
Yes.
Remember, you and I, Simba, are the sovereigns. Before anything is done, I need to be consulted. Is it really worthwhile?
Yes.
Is it worthy of this approach? Simba, as I finish, because you can hear my colleague really supporting me here strongly, meaning it's burning with fire. but before I finish, Simba,
Yes.
The president is actually on a PR stunt. Damage control, and because we have loved his lies,
Yes.
and sometimes even made memes of his lies, we are actually adding more firewood onto the fire by encouraging the president to continue lying to us. Because nobody has stood up to call him to account for his lies. The issues of the stadium went like that. The previous government, that one we can't blame the Jubilee government, because the Jubilee government who made those promises are actually in the UDA government. They just went like that. Now this Karisa issue is going to go like that. So if we have a president that cannot be held to account, we have no country, as the Kenyans say, Simba. We have no country.
Just to clear on this particular issue for stabilizing the economy and making sure that every other money that comes in the country is well spent and we're borrowing less and less. I want to read for you a story again that we ran at Look at TV, right here. And it was on September, on the 15th. Well, there was a motion that was tabled in the National House, which we do know is majority UDA, right? And